Everyone, and welcome to Scouting the League. We are into the summer months of scouting with OTAs rolling along and scouts across the country thinking about some downtime. For area scouts waiting on some lists from either Blesto or NFS. If you're a really good scout, probably doing some double checking on rosters in your area, getting some underclassmen lined up and thinking outside of those standard lists. Again, the great scouts are always going to know their area better than anybody else. For pro guys, continued evaluation of your own roster, likely looking at some of that UFL tape as their season rolls along, and thinking about the preseason and early parts of 2026. Here on Scouting the League, coming off Neil's great talk with one of the great men in scouting, Alonzo Highsmith. Yes, go back and listen to that one if you haven't already. Of course, with that episode, the word nepotism pops up again. Both his son AJ on staff there and the family business from Elliot and Ron Wolf, as well as a few others talked about in the episode. Always enjoy getting that feedback on every episode, whether that is in the comments, DMs, or via text. Got a few messages about that nepotism, and again, I'm going to address those today. But before we jump in, make sure you like, subscribe, share this podcast wherever you're listening and watching. Hit me in the comments everywhere you're at. Give me a follow on Twitter at RightStepADV. Head over, check out my website at rsafootball.com. Give us follows everywhere there. Check the archives again, whether it's that episode with Alonzo, haven't heard it, curious about what is prompting this episode today, or whether it's those 2027 draft prospects, whether it's conversations across the league. Really excited about some of the ones we have coming up. Make sure you're following us everywhere. Make sure you check out thescoutingcommunity.com if you are an aspiring scout or a current NFL scout. If you are in the front office of a college, as well, really good resources for you that continue to growing that scouting community to get you all the information that a lot of other people are getting. Scouts are sometimes left in the dark, so want to do everything we can to help the industry. And then make sure you check out our partners over at bluemaca.com for the insoles that will upgrade every pair of shoes you have. Use code SCOUTING20 at checkout to let them know we sent you. Get a little discount on that order as well. This Wednesday, we talk Prospect X in this 2026 NFL Draft with Kalen Kaler. Tomorrow, we stay on the defensive side, talk Leonard Moore of Notre Dame, really exciting corner that I'm expecting to be in that 2027 draft class, and perhaps a current NFL general manager and current ACC head coach coming up. Make sure you stay tuned for those. Really excited about the guests we have lined up this summer. So, coming off last week's episode where Neil and Alonzo talked origins, path into his current role, and of course family ties in scouting. That idea of nepotism was of course part of a few messages that came over via text, and always enjoy the feedback, want the feedback, whether you are critical, whether you like it, whether it's something that you think we missed, let us know. We're going to talk about nepotism, how I think NFL teams could really squash it. Such a simple yet important commitment to evaluation and development. So again, start with the question: does nepotism exist in the NFL? Of course it does. Like, again, there's no question. I don't think anybody's going to debate you that it exists. Is it maybe a little bit more in the forefront because of the nature, the publicity, coaching staff, scouting staff? It gets fairly obvious to see a lot of times. Again, you see the last names, you follow the family ties, you see them on the same staffs, oftentimes getting that start with the same staffs. But again, we see it out in front. But it happens in every industry. That's one of the things that is often forgotten. Oh, nepotism. Again, it's called a family business for a reason. Whether you are a family law firm, a family contracting company, construction company, whether you are, again, in finance, in small business and restaurant, whatever it is, the family business is the family business. So nepotism is going to be there in every industry. Again, a lot of those we don't follow. We don't check ownership, management, all that kind of stuff out there. But because our NFL teams are out in front, it's very easy to see. Now, the big difference perhaps between these NFL franchises and really any other industry is if a contractor, if a mechanic, if a law firm has that family business and the new younger family member that is perhaps not quite capable of carrying on the family business, the family business suffers. That business is not going to last long. It's going to affect the bottom line. And again, that business will have to make a decision. We're going to move on from this person. Yes, it's the family business. We're going to reduce their role. We're going to evaluate and develop them, or we're not going to be a company long. An NFL team can and often does overcome incompetent nepotism hiring because it can be easier to hide a scout. It can be easier to move them around. Hey, let's just shift their role again. We're just going to play hide the ball, but under these cups, we're just going to keep moving this person around because we don't want to ruffle feathers. Whether that is a coach's kid, maybe somebody else in the front office's kid, maybe it's in the ownership side, again, that we're just going to play hide the ball. We're going to keep this person employed. Again, we're not going to ruffle feathers. Again, all the rest of the scouts, all the rest of the staff are going to pull a little bit more than their weight to make sure, hey, we were just really like this person and we don't want to ruffle those feathers. So again, it can be easier. It can be simpler to hide the ball with that, again, sometimes incompetent hiring and retention practice of whoever that person is that was hired for nepotism reasons than it can be maybe in the general population, general business. It can be a difficult bridge to cross. There's no question about it. Friends, acquaintances, ownership influence. Often there is no standard also by which these employees measured. Again, I've heard it said before, man, it is so hard to evaluate scouts because, again, draft grades. Hey, we can only evaluate our scouts on our system, which means we can only evaluate maybe the 6 to 10 guys we bring in and draft plus the UDFA. Man, there may be years, again, as a Midwest guy, there was a year we didn't draft a single guy from my area, just the way the board fell, just the way it works out. Again, so what? I don't get evaluated that year. Again, I've heard people talk about hiding behind that. Hey, we can only evaluate our evaluators on the players that we bring into our building because, again, that's we're grading for our system. Again, no, that's one of the things you can evaluate. You can't evaluate that for that guy, but again, there's going to be plenty more to evaluate. Again, punctuality, reputation on the road, how efficient was your schedule, how were you with expenses, how were you with everything else that goes into the job as a scout. How were you? We can evaluate all that. I promise you, I guarantee you, I put it all down on paper. It is not that hard to do. The evaluation is one point. No development to focus on either. It is one of the great lacking things in every front office is you're put into a role and told, hey, figure it out on your own, figure it out on the job. Maybe you find a mentor. Maybe there's a kind of a 2-week scout school. Maybe, hey, read the manual. But again, the development piece that you're going to focus on that's really going to, again, allow the cream to rise to the top as they develop. Again, it's going to be really obvious who the good scouts are, who the better scouts are, and who is, they're kind of happy and content where they're at. They're at their glass ceiling already. And as they always say, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, well, that's just the definition of insanity, even though we know plenty of teams live in that world. Every front office, every team, they talk about that 1% better today. Well, what if evaluation and development was that 1% every day? It's not hard. Maybe it's going to take a little bit of effort. Maybe it's going to take somebody in a new role. Maybe it's going to take somebody coming in and being an owner of that part of it. Hey, we are going to evaluate. This is what it's going to take. And it's not just going to be scouts. It's going to be coaches. It's going to be strength staff. It's going to be everybody down taking care of the diet stuff. It's going to be player development. Everybody's going to get evaluated. Everybody's going to be given the opportunity to develop. We're going to take them as far as you can. Just like we have on our rosters and coaching staff, there is going to be a limit. There is going to be an upside that will be reached by people throughout the organization, and you will then get to decide, hey, this person is great where they're at. We love them where they're at, or hey, there is somebody else out there that can take us a little bit higher, and that 1% difference will be the difference between a win, a loss, a championship, or going home early in the playoffs. That is what it's all about. It's time for NFL franchises to put their money where their mouth is, add that evaluation development as a focus for front offices and across the organization. Not only will that help their franchise, it's also going to help quiet some of these nepotism conversations because, again, there are really, really good scouts that were hired for nepotism reasons that are still really, really good and they belong there. Unfortunately, there's some on the other end as well. We want them out of the NFL. We want them out of front offices. We need them, again, exposed respectfully because, again, they are part of what makes it hard to get into the scouting world, and for people to get frustrated with it. So we want good scouts, we want good scouting staff, and we want the evaluation and development to be a part of it. Thoughts, comments, let me know. At Right Step ADV is where you can find me. Getting up on my soapbox today. The evaluation develop has been something that I am passionate about, something that I've been trying to shine a light on, something I'm having conversations with different NFL teams about. Hopefully we continue to make it the forefront and get more and more attention on that evaluation and development. So again, let me know what you think. Tomorrow we talk corners. Leonard Moore on that 2027 draft focus. All you Notre Dame fans, come back and listen to that one. Keep coming back every episode, every week. And here at Scouting the League, we will keep scouting.